guys, hi. My name is Anders, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about a knife purchase I did a while back. Now, I've been watching a lot of videos online when I was trying to pick which knife to choose, because I'm not really a knife guy. Maybe a little bit, but it was difficult for me because I've been using like cheaper Moras and stuff, and they did the job and stuff like that. But as I was progressing in what we did out in the woods and coming back to Sweden after a lot of years abroad where I didn't really get out much, my needs changed. So I started to educate myself, and I've watched I don't know how much feather sticking with knives this big and all this kind of stuff, and I felt like none of it really spoke to me. That's not what I needed. But thanks to everyone that made those entertaining videos. Now, when I go out in the woods, I need a knife where I can splinter some, I can chop up to make fires. That's mainly what I do. I also sometimes bring either an axe or a saw if there's something bigger that I think might need doing and stuff like that. But that's basically my need, and I didn't really know what exactly I wanted. So I put a budget at around $120, $130, $140 maximum, but I wanted something that would really last. So a lot of research brought me to buying a Casström number 10 forest knife with a Scandi grind. Now, the reason for that was that I wanted something that was done here in Sweden. I liked the feel of it. I tried a couple of their different ones, and they were very patient when I asked a lot of questions. I actually, when I sent an email, it was the owner himself that answered me, and I spoke to him a bit like, I guess a lot of you guys might have that kind of connection with Mike Stewart over at Bark River and that kind of stuff. And I really like good customer service and people that stand by their products. And then I thought, as I got this, I was going to make a video and show how happy I was with the purchase or those kind of things. But then I thought, which ones are the videos that I prefer to watch in order to learn about a product? It's usually the ones that are a couple of years down the line. Not just like, oh yeah, look at this box, it came very pretty, and unboxing videos and that kind of stuff, and like, yeah, I like this knife, it does this, that and the other. I don't know if that knife falls apart after 3 weeks out in the woods or whatever, we have no idea. So since whatever knife I buy is going to be a user, I'm not a knife collector, there will be no knives lying in a shelf or anything like that. I figured I was going to wait a couple of years, and now I've had this knife for year and a half, maybe 2 years, and it's gotten a lot of use, which you will see. You might wonder why there is two knives here, and I'll come to that. It comes down to customer service. So this is the one I settled on. I'll run through the specs very briefly. It's O2 steel from Bowler. It's called the K720. It's 3.8 millimeters thick. It's a pretty sturdy knife, and it's the blade is about 10 centimeters long, like that, and I think that's 3 7/8 of an inch. I'm not so familiar with the imperial. I hear that the US guys are moving over to the metric system, inch by inch. Haha. And this is 2.6 centimeters up there, so it really fit the need for what I needed. I also tried, they make one that's the Lars Felt survival knife or something, bushcraft knife or something like that, but I preferred this handle. It's a really unique handle. It's got this this fills my hand really nicely, and it goes down a bit like this, which are really nice. I really like it. This is for me perfect. It doesn't need to be any more than this. So with the edge of the knife starting right there, I get a lot of power for that particular, if I'm carving something or need to break something up. It's I like that to be as close as possible too. I'm looking at a different knife now because I do need something a little bit bigger, but most of them that I like, they come with a bit of a choil here, and I haven't figured out, it's probably for the ferro rod, but I'm not sure, and I'm not so sure that I would like it, or if that means I would have to bring two knives into the woods, because this one is this is really good. I did not like the Lars Felt knife. It was straighter in the handle. I actually really like this little bend that this one has. So I got this one, and I got it in oak, figured that was pretty. And I used it for, I'm also not a fantastic knife sharpener, but these ones are easy to sharpen. I put a bit of a micro edge on it on top of the normal, so since what I do, I prefer it to be a little bit sturdier. So I used the Spyderco Sharp Maker, and I put a bit of a micro edge on it to make it a little bit more resilient. So when I got this one, it was actually I bought it used. According to the guy that was selling it, he'd never actually used it. He carried it and never used it. But it came with a bit of a pinch in the steel that I couldn't really figure out what it was. So I worked a lot on the knife and tried to you know, just to avoid it, that it would break there. I tried to like work it down and that kind of stuff, and it didn't look pretty, but it did the job. And also, when it came with a, just give me 1 second. It came with a lefty sheath. Now, it was really did not have a mark on it, so I spoke to Casström and they said just send the lefty sheath in, and we'll send you a new one free of charge, just postage. And that's pretty amazing, considering I had gone out and bought myself a used knife. But that first opened up my eyes to the fact that this was like superior customer service, which I really like. And I started using it, and I didn't really think about the knife much, which is a good thing, because I'm not really into the knife itself. It's what I do with it, and I go out a lot into the woods with the kids and we make fires, and that's kind of what we do. We camp a lot and those kind of things. So I just wanted a knife that wasn't not too big, didn't take up too much space, not too heavy, and something that just worked. Now I live by the ocean, so humidity changes a lot here depending on the season and the winds and stuff, and also we get really, really cold winters sometimes and really warm summers, so a lot of changes. So what happened was that I was betoning, and what I didn't know was that the rivets, the pins, had started to creep a little bit. So I basically smacked it, and it broke apart. The handle came off in pieces. So I was like, shit, what am I gonna do now? That was terrible. It was, I did not have a backup knife with me because we were walking a bit further that time, and didn't want to bring too much stuff basically. Ended up using my daughter's. I have a daughter. She was 6 at the time, so she had a little the Mora for beginners, and I ended up using that one when I was cooking and stuff. But no more sorting out firewood and stuff, because I didn't have the stuff with me, and I did not have my axe with me, which was kind of stupid. So I sent a message to Casström and I asked them, what do I do? And I sent some pictures, and they told me that that looks like a bit of an older knife, one of our older knives, and there's no warranty on things like that. And I said, no, of course, I'm going to buy a new one, but I really like the knife, so I'm going to buy one basically the same. And they said, well, when you do, also send your old one in and we'll fix it up for you so you have a backup knife. So it came back in absolutely, I mean, for a user, perfect shape. Really does everything. I wouldn't have had to actually buy another knife. But don't tell my wife. She can't know that. Of course needed. Yes, I needed another one knife. Yes. I also need another one. I'll get back to that later. Now, the new knife that I bought was the same knife, but I got it with a micarta handle. My theory being that that material won't shrink and swell with the humidity differences and the temperature and stuff like that. So maybe the pins will stay put. And it's basically exactly the same knife, but a couple of things have changed. The blade is a tiny bit longer, and I don't actually know if you're going to be able to see this, but looking at how the metal has been ground, it's this way on the new one. But looking at the old one, the grind goes that way. Something they've changed in the manufacturing process. I don't know what it is, but there are a couple of small differences in how it is. I really like the handle. I think it looks good, and since I started my exploration of knives, like many of you will know, you kind of get a little bit hooked, so I've started to actually care a little bit about what they look like. But as you can see, my knives are users. So that's that one. Now it comes with, I actually bought an upgraded sheath with the ferro rod, placed with the ferro rod, and I got this. I actually don't remember where I got this. It's with the reindeer antler, the ferro rod, and it really does the job. What really adds to it is if you also get this dangler from Casström's, because it's to me this is a really clever way of doing it, because I can hook this onto my belt and it sits there, and I hook this one onto the knife like so, and I usually keep my knife in different places depending on what I'm doing. So getting to and from the camp, I probably carry it on my backpack, and I might have a smaller, like a folder or something up here, or in one of my front pockets on my pants if I'm wearing pants, not naked, shorts, you know. We'll see. So what I do is, then when I get to where we're setting up the camp, I like to have the knife handy, and I move it over to the dangler. So I just take it. It's been sitting like this in my backpack somewhere, and usually, since I'm not expecting to be attacked by anything or anyone, I don't have it like commando style here or anything like that. I have an emergency knife somewhere on the front of my body, but this one will probably sit in the back, so I can when I get to camp just pull it out and do the quick things, and then when I'm done I might just hook it to my belt. And for that, this is really, really handy. In fact, I ended up getting a lot of these things. I think I have 3 or 4 of them for different purposes and different knives that I have and stuff. And it converts any sheath that I have to what I want them to be. Now, the reason that I want to have a dangler is that the backpacks I carry are big and bulky and heavy, and the hip belt for the backpack usually rides on my hips. So if I have the knife up on my hip where the belt is, it kind of gets in the way of that. So I get that one down a bit, and it hangs underneath. If I'm carrying it like that, it hangs underneath my backpack. So I really enjoy this. I think it's a really clever way of doing it. So all in all, the Casström number 10 forest knife, or SFK, Swedish forest knife, is truly fantastic. For the money, I think you get one with a fancy curly birch handle for like $150 or something like that, and that's really all. That's really all I'm prepared to spend for a knife of this size, and with the abuse that the knife gets. So this one now sits as backup somewhere in the house, or gets used around the garden and that kind of stuff, and this is my go-to knife if I go out into the woods. So that's my my take on this knife. If I was to have a couple of improvements on this knife, is that I really want this handle. I don't want them to change a thing about the handle. I have really big hands, and often because we have winter and stuff, I also work in gloves. I usually try to wear gloves when I work in the summer as well in the woods, but in the winter it's big bulky gloves, and this somehow really works independently. It doesn't matter if I'm wearing gloves thick or not, it still sits as comfortably in my hand, and that's a really good sign. The problem I have is that when I baton, quite often what I baton is almost as wide, sometimes a little bit wider than the knife. I would like this knife to be maybe 10, 15, 20 millimeters longer, so that I got more of it out on the other side of the wood that I'm splitting, so I could just bang a little bit harder and not have to be so careful hitting the tip of my knife. But other than that, fancier steels, yeah, but I'm pretty good. I've gotten pretty good at sharpening this one, so it does what I needed to do. I don't feel the need to shave off my hair. I'm not a very hairy person. It just really does what I needed to do. I've been looking now at a couple of bark rivers because I do need a bigger knife, but they're really thick, and I'm wondering, do I really need a knife that thick? This is borderline for food prep and stuff like that, and I'm not going to carry 3 different knives for food prep and stuff. I don't know if I want a knife that is actually even bigger, or thicker I should say. So I'm still debating what to do. At the moment I sometimes carry with me, or actually I hang it on my wife's belt, a more a flexible Morab is really thin, just simply for food prep. That's my take on this knife. I can really recommend this knife to anyone that's looking for something in the, I don't know, in knife forums it seems to be no problem spending $300-400 on a knife, and I don't, that's a lot of money for me to spend on a knife, I think. But if you're looking at something around the 120, 130, 140, say sub $150, I think it's hard to get anything that's more bang for the buck than this. Maybe the Mora Garberg, I held it and I don't like the handle. I don't like the sheath. The knife itself is good, the blade is good. I am absolutely sure that the steel is fantastic for the money, but this one just feels more premium. So I'm going to give you another close-up of that knife and show it to you. I'm going to show you how it sits in my hand. These are XXL hands, remember? But and the swell of the handle, if you look at it carefully, they really put some time into designing this handle. I don't know that much about Casströms. It's a company from the north of Sweden, like way north, and I know that they're friendly. I know that there is a lot of when you're up there, the woods is part of your everyday life, really, like it was for me. I'm from the north of Sweden too, and it was just something that was like part and part of your everyday. Whatever thing else you were doing, the woods were part of it. So they know what a knife is supposed to be for, and I think they priced it at the right level. So that's my take on it. If you can get your hands on one of these, I wouldn't shy away from buying a used either if you can, because I think it's solid enough quality, easy enough to sharpen, and it really does hold an edge. I mean, go away for 6-7 days and I will sharpen it in the field like a little bit every now and then if I get something that needs to be sorted out. But in general, I don't do anything with it until I come home. I use WD-40 on it to protect it a little bit, and that's really all I do, because I'm not a knife person, I say. However, I'm now looking for a knife that is a little bit bigger, a bit beefier. So if you don't mind, drop a couple of comments in the bottom of the video, and is it the Bark River 1.25? Is it the maybe the Bark River Squad Leader? Squad Leader 2 seems absolutely massive. Any tips like that, let me know, and thanks for watching. Bye.